All right, folks, I have something very special for you today. This right here is the Elvis unit. This is the ambulance that carried Elvis away on the day he passed away, took him from Graceland to the hospital. This ambulance, by the time you see this, it's already being shown live at the Tiger Man Museum in Memphis. So go check it out. Billy Stallings, the spa guy, the man responsible for bringing this ambulance back into the public eye and putting it into the museum. And I got a chance to interview him as he was cleaning it up. So I hope you enjoy the video, and go check out Tiger Man Museum in Memphis.
What do you think about the fact that it almost got sold to people who would junk it? I mean, is that a failure of some sort of system, or a failure of people to step in? Because by the time that rolled around, 1991, you know, obviously Elvis was the thing. Graceland was a thing. But how could this end up in such a precarious spot?
Well, I think because it's one of those things that you don't really want to talk about.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's like it's kind of like the hearse. The hearse caught on fire and burned to the ground, so it's no longer in existence. But if the hearse was still around, it would be sitting in a museum somewhere. And I believe that is absolutely accurate. I believe that's a fact, that it would be in a museum because it's a historical artifact. What I think happened was it was literally in the hands of people that didn't know. In 1991, now we're having a resurgence. People are spending crazy money on items because they have the money. You know, like the value of a muscle car has gone up through the roof, as opposed to what it used to be. You know, if you bought a '69 Chevy in 1969, they were what, $4,000, $3,000. Now they're $100,000. And 20 years ago they were not $100,000. 20 years ago they were, you know, 30, 20. But there's a resurgence of people my age, I think, that love history, that are now financially able to go back in and relive their childhood or relive their teenage days and buy vehicles and
save things.
And I really believe that that's just in their spirit to do that. Where before, people my age that would love this kind of thing were working. They had kids, they had families, they weren't thinking about it. So it's nothing but a miracle that this thing got saved. And I think it's divine providence that it is here in my possession today to go in a museum. Otherwise, there's no way it would have ever happened. You know, I believe that God set this up. I believe that He orchestrates things like this because too many things. I mean, you think about it. It was
too many coincidences.
Back then, there was no internet.
Right.
It was a thing where somebody told somebody that told somebody, and all I heard from Mac was, "I've seen it." So I knew that it existed. I just hoped they hadn't thrown it away.
Right.
And so that's where I was worried about whether it even made it or not.
Well, when you say somebody called somebody on the phone and said, "Hey, you need to go check this out."
Yeah.
In our context, it's like, "Oh, I just picked the phone out of my pocket because I happen to have it on me."
That's right.
But in 1991, that's not the case.
That's right.
So you could have missed somebody, you know, with a phone call.
This thing was one phone call away from being in the junkyard.
That's right.
That's a fact.
So then, where do you put this? Obviously, there's other significant ambulances. Say JFK's ambulance took him to Parkland. Where do you put this?
Number one.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, but now I'm an Elvis fan. I would think that.
Sure.
You know? And I just think that it's an important piece of history. It makes him human, which he was human, but it's easy to lose sight of that because the average person rarely ever saw Elvis in a human context. They generally saw Elvis in the context of him being an entertainer on the screen, on the stage, superstar status type thing.
Right.
I don't know what's going to take to get this